Hello, I get alle Jeden. So, ich hoffe, es ist Arbeit. There's a lot of noise here. Try to make it quieter. I did it, try. Give me a second. So, the Woche Patch is Toldos, and es ist spät. Und ich dachte, so, ich habe ein bisschen die Patch and ich dachte, ich sehe etwas, what's going on here, what's was speaking to me. It sounds very interesting, the parasha, but a lot of drama and machloikes and intrigue. But what does it connect to us, and how does it connect to the Gang of Hashtikl Ma'alech and the Letzte Pur Parshas? So I was struck by this thought. And so schon sage ich mit der Name von der Parsha auch, dass like the told this. Or Avos Toldos, Avos Mechaldik, Toldos Mechaldik, Yovis. There's something going through the whole Parsha. From jede story comes from the Parsha, coming coils on in Zach, which is the pain and the choshech and the pain, the a lot of I don't know how to call it, a lot of drama, a lot of pain, a lot of darkness that happens when people have children, and when Uvis Kartaranti told us, another vetter was first, Einkor Lovas El Shlosh, Avrovini was the first one, I think Avini something, Avini Orishan, it was like the first, as the Tata from alle Menschen, alle Jeden, Avaman Goevnes Aticho, is the Masse, the Avrom Avini, is the einzigste von Dovas, wie hat geriefen, der Teuer Shem Uvis, Kiav, Shem Avrom, Kiav Goevnes Aticho. And he was the father, like the original father. It's a little like Udam Medish, that's how he like pretended to be Udam Medish, the Vitzir Kapov, and Lechlechu, which interesting dingen, is Taka Lechlechu, give shit by the Nish, that there's something going back to that. But Lamasse, in the story at least, Avram Vini is considered the first Echte Avram, Avicho Rish, and Stakadu Avicho Rish and Chut has problems. But it comes like somehow like going back being first. And now Yitzchak is the second, and Malchin Yitzchak Yaakov, it's in double, and the second Megaitzi, they Madraigat, they Oilam, besides Bunim, these children, and it's the second generation. There's a lot of trauma, a lot of problem inherent in that, not in the act was told this. And the erste Sache von der Parsha is Rivka, there's a problem that she got Kent Yitzchak. And so that's when Yitzchak, but I'm going to go back to how like them either told the Yitzchak, Avram held the Yitzchak. Another word, the problem is the problem told this really starts when Avram held the Yitzchak, but it's kind of hidden there. It's kind of left unsaid, and by that alliance as the Akaida, which we always speak as in the sign of Avram Avini. But the reality is there's something really major going on between this Avram and Yitzchak, between this Av and Ben. Say something in this relationship, in this step, in this connection where Avram is holding the Yitzchak, but Sikim was with Paul mehr klum in sein und mehr shine and mehr ogeret statement held the Yitzchak Avram and Yitzchak eigene Kinder. That's what shows this stereotype, this archetype, the stereotype of children born and how hard it is. And there's a reason for that. And the Chazal sagen, muss ich kochen mit Sabla gesprochen, Tzadike, Wete, Yitzchak, Lashem, Rishtok, Yakuri. But the idea behind this is that when that really, Haluda is a really hard thing. It's nicht bederich HaTeva. So everything immer sagt, Meftaich shel Chaya, there's was is getting as Sach Mensch nicht obvious and nicht akures, and they're doing okay, they're having children. It's because they're not really having children. In other words, they're not really fathers. And okay, that works. But in the original archetype of father and son, and obvious and told this, it's a real and they were all akuris because they were moist, because they were fathers. So a father a father is not just a relationship with the child. A father manich this firstness, this originality, this huge Starkheit, die gewaltige Sache, was heißt Oves, it doesn't lend itself to putting itself off and giving itself over to the next generation, to creating a generation in the metaphorical, the metaphysical sense, something that's not him, and it's jetzt kann eine ganz andere Welt, eine ganz andere how do you say, a ganz andere like existence. It's like the way we tell this story. Avram Avinu had his whatever, his conversion or whatever he did, and Yitzchak, what does he do? And the second generation, always in everything, second generation are left in a certain problem. They can't redo. I can't just noch mal Avram Avinu, and I can't. Es auch nicht das Zairi in Einikel, was zwischen wartet im goldene Kite for 1000 years. There's something in between in that step of Avram heard this Yitzchak, and the same thing Yitzchak. Yitzchak having his own kids, which is very hard, and therefore it's Kiakuru, like Rochel was Akura, like Rif was Akura, like Sur was Akura. Anyone who is really at father, even can say the creativity. Anyone that's really creative, a lot of people think there's people that are creative, they're moiled all the time, and there's people that are not, and there's some like kind of problem, like Akura, like being barren. Sometimes someone has called writer's block, the catness, or something that doesn't let him be moiled his power, doesn't let him give moitzele poils on the mashpiyas on the toiris or the whatever. Now the emes is this is when Oibane is tam and Mam Shechasayde is looked at the toiris and tate from the Elte Seite, there's nothing going on. But anyone that has a really new thought, there has to be a akura in this stage. And on the way, jeder einer got eine echte neue Idee, geht seine akura, fahre kann es moilet sein, fahre kann es bringen, sie Avram held this Yitzchak and Yitzchak, Esav and Yaakov. Because it's like inherent in the fact that it's new. If it's someone, it's too easy to be murdered, then you're not really a father. You didn't really start anything. And this gives us this picture of this archetype, and it's like real trauma. And the erste Sache von dem Hype tun der Pusse. Yitzchak and Yisroitz matching gebeten. And Tefillah is this koich like Ve'eta Yitzchak. If you read the Pusik, Vayehut Le Hashem, in andere Werte, hat sich gebeten. However, et means exactly in Chazal, they were under the solution, and it's interesting. Starting by Spal, I'm instructed in Spal Hashem, và Hashem is Spal, hat sich zurückgedaven zu ihm. And hat gedacht machen etwas, he created some kind of relationship, some kind of kli, some kind of conduit between him and God. And then God, exactly in jene Weg, exactly in jene Kli, in jene Sache, is kimen vatarif, but that doesn't help. It's still the second was his hype. And Rivka had such pregnancy, depression, whatever. And he basically she doesn't know why she's alive, and like a very deep pain, a very deep trauma, and that's because you're pushing yourself out of this Rivka, and Rivka was kind of like for Yitzchak at least. Basically, Surah died. The first generation died off, and they were still living. The Rivka was for Yitzchak this dream of his mother's house, of his nachdum, and this Vayisroitza when Mekibet, it knocked her off from that dream. It knocked her. Rivka was this gelebt in a fantasy world from. Unenkusher alle oil, chal v'ruchem atzibis, was like gewaldig, also wie noch mit. And now she became pregnant, and she saw herself in this conflict where she's getting children, and the nimshal, as the Pusik gesagt, stei goy mitnach. In other words, because the Kinder haben seine eigene Bechiris, haben seine eigene Neshama, seine eigene personality, seine eigene existence, their eigene world. And it's not going to be Veinochem Yitzchak immer now anymore. It's not, in some Kinder kennen sich der Mann, der Seite, das riefen, der Kinder noch, man nicht geriefen. And Avram Avinu, especially, this is where he totally dies, like Rashi says that he died, there's something, not big, the Nimshel from there, it's not the Muslim. There's something like cutting himself off totally from Avram Avinu, cutting himself totally off from the first daughter of us, from the first generation. And now there's room for everyone. There's room, and there's this power to everyone, given to everyone. Esav can go and see his way, and Yaakov goes to his own way, and Yoitzel types around. Avram Avinu can't see that, because in other words, Avram Avinu, his mehis can't see it, because his mehis is being mechadish this whole world where there's like only one thing. He can only see one thing. He doesn't even see Yitzchak, and Nakadas Yitzchak in some sense means that he doesn't even see Yitzchak as existing as a separate entity. And only when there's Al Tishlach Ad Chonana, and suddenly we don't really hear Avraham Avinu. And the next time Avraham Avinu is doing something, he's dying. Not exactly. He made Yitzchak, but also it was plus last week. He was kind of not doing anything anymore. There's a Gabba, the Gebum, schon alles getan. And dann haben gesagt, seht nicht da noch a Dibbe von der Eibisch, das noch dem. But the idea is, here he's dead, totally dead. And now this new generation, they have a really hard time to establish themselves and in relation to the previous one and in their own existence. And it's hard for their parents and it's hard for them. And ich meine, ob man will sichern, und dieselbe Sachen bis the end von der Parsha, Rivka, she's never got over this. Katzti b'chaim p'nai b'nai schais im lekayach Yitzchak im b'nai lama lichaim. It's really shad for Pusik, and she's saying that her whole life, which is kind of being stuck between being Rivka, Yitzchak's Surah replacement, between being Rivka, which has her own agendas with Yaakov and Esav, and she's the whole time afraid, and she's like, look, I gave birth to these two children, and in the end she tells Yaakov to run away. Lama eshkel gam shnaichem yim echad. She's saying, okay, I went through this whole thing much in Gelend, and all of that, and now you're going to fight, and I'm going to lose because you're going to fight with each other, and he's going to kill you, you're going to kill him. She's the whole time like in this real trauma, which is when you have children, when you have, as we look, the original idea of children, the original level of children, there's dangers, like they could both kill each other, both from their own choice, from their own fights, or from their own decisions. And the whole story, if you read the major story, the major drama in the Parsha, basically starts with this pusik, and there's always basically darshan zukt as this is a pusik was steht the choshech is the choshech from Midas Agvira, which was in the first symptom. And that's what the Chana of Maros of Yitzchak. In other words, Yitzchak is the father here, and as he gets older, he loses his sight, he loses his clarity. He doesn't really know what he's doing anymore in the world, and he knows that he has. And if you try to put yourself in this place, in this picture that this story is giving us, it's a really complex and really beautiful place. In other words, you need to put yourself in Yitzchak's place, where he doesn't have a Kenish Zayin, a Tchelar Marois, and weiß, dass zwei Kinder, which he pulled with his, nicht a ganze Zeit gedenkt, in seinem Kopf, Yaakov und Esav sind die zwei Kinder von Vayusale Hashem, and Vigli Anurim, and some Ugakt von Avraham Avinu. And now he doesn't really know, he's like, there's a blindness is like there's like a curtain between him and the world. There's like, he's behind this curtain, he's Yitzchak, he has his inner world, whatever it is, we don't really know ever, because he was killed by the Al-Qaeda, and he's cut off from his father. He has his mother somehow in the Rivka, and he doesn't really see her either. And as we see in the continuation of the story, she's somehow working against him or manipulating him. And through this curtain, he experiences the world from behind this curtain, and he thinks he's going to give a bracha to Esav, which is like also a continuation of Avraham Avinu v'ya bracha. He's giving, and he doesn't really know. He can only feel, he can only hear. He gets certain indications of the outside world, certain indications of his children, but he's never really there. He never really knows Yitzchak. In other words, but this is all even before. There's some kind of blindness. There's some kind of curtain between the parents and their children. They don't really know. They have because she likes this studious or whatever. But both of them are not really what Yaakov and Esav both don't care about either of these things. They're trying to please their parents. They're trying to listen. Yaakov folgt seinem Tat, and geht sie Lovan, and Esav folgt seinem Mama and nimmt das zweite Vab, and it's not really what she wants. But they're not really in the same place at all. And this is the trauma or the tragedy or the story of this whole parsha, where they're not. These children have their own toldos, and toldos is a ganz andere parsha, and the parents exist here somehow, but they're not in the same world at all. And this world is a different world, this children's world. And Was man mal sagen wegen der that this whole parsha, what else does it talk about? The Bechoira and all these things, they're all related to this concept of the children not really finding a place with their parents and going away, and Yaakov had to go away, and he goes back to Lavan, and that's basically my thought about this. I think this was nachgehaald episode wegen dem. So I don't know. I don't have an answer to the question. I was thinking about this week the article from Toldot, and there's this concept where we're trying to look in the past and trying to but the question of it starts because we're trying to put ourselves in a certain relation, a certain framing, in a certain existence between us and the past, and our parents, or our parents, or previous generations, which are like parents to us, and some of them in a real sense like us, because they created the frameworks in which we live, or they created the traditions in which we live. And there's this saying, the past is a foreign country. The past is always behind this curtain, and this is like the situation where we are in all the time. There's a curtain between us and the reality, and especially between us, and since a lot of our reality is what's come down to us from our parents and from Friede Gedoyres, there's always this and we never really know. Maybe it's a tappen a bissel, it's going to happen, and there's this fear, like Yaakov has this tragedy. He's going to kill me. Maybe they're going to realize that we're not really correctly touching them. We're not really correctly representing what we're supposed to present regarding them. And it's the other way around. And also, in other words, all of what we're doing is either feeling or hearing. They said something, we try to feel the feelings that they left over, or the reality, like the texture of the text and the texture itself. Like there's text and texture. Text is Yaakov and texture is Esav. Text Kol Yaakov, texture Yadayim Esav. But the texture of the life that they Chaim Shuvakluni. And we tried to figure out, so they were greater than us, so we need to be nichna to them, or they didn't be nichna to us, maybe they had preparation to us. We don't really know. It's all in this confusion, and somehow the idea of the parsha is that there's some kind of plan or some kind of story how this all has to happen, how there needs to be this separation, this traumatic separation between Avis and Bunim, between Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Esav, and through that's just the story of the unit of the world. It's not something that needs a solution. The story is, this is what happens. And every time you have children, every time in both the physical, literal, and metaphorical sense, there's a pain. There's them going out and doing whatever they want, and there's when they're still in you a little bit, you're feeling you can feel this. People kind of look in the nimshal from the thought. It's actually very good. It's a very good picture when someone has a good idea, a real idea, idea, and this is be'ibber, as the Rebbe Malach said, that if you have a good chiddush in Torah, you shouldn't say it for 9 months, because it needs time to grow the fetus, and it needs to get birth. But the idea doesn't mean kipshit every dvar Torah that you have. But the idea is that thoughts, and they have a process of gestation, and a process of pregnancy, and a process of being born. And the Arizali told us about the Sfiras. They all have 12 months, 9 months, 7 months, all kinds of numbers, long times. And when the Novi, the person that has the Asogya, he has this idea, he can already know, when it's still in him, already know how there's two sides. There's Yaakov and Esav, or Menachel Shtayolimis, however you want to explain Yaakov and Esav, because he can see that when it's going to go out, when he's going to get Meshachres on the idea, it's the Welt. Guys on Mensch was going to snitz and Sahargen Mensch. Guys on Mensch is going to snitz in the Teuf. And ready the Kirba felt that he feels this. And he says, Lama ze anoichi, was fällt groß zu wissen der Idee, was fällt groß zu oben der Soge. Man kann es schon ich sehe schon in days, wie das ist du a Weg, du a Schwilz, du a du a Weg, was Lied von des zu kennen. Ich schur ihm da, ich habe ein mich kannst lieben. Du allemal a Weg, was man kann jede Sache, sie Eisov, oder sie Jakob, oder sie... And they kills the person, and in the end, there's no choice. Was der Eiber immer Hashem la, also ich geht es. It sounds like Cain. It's very similar to the story how Cain said, "Good love, I'm in a soich, truget." Also wie truget, ich kann es nicht trugen, mamisch, also ein Mensch, weil so wie die Gemüse sagt, smaller lime every kish, every, when someone has a pain or a truktap, so wie es ist truget, mamisch truget, also ist gerne letzt, ich sag, dass man kann make sure zu trugen, was du eiref. Und ich weiß, ich sage, Master, die kann macht eiref, man kann eiref, ever. I don't know what I'm saying. The idea is that we're truggedig mit der Idee, and there's the schluckt sich in ihm. Schluckt sich die zwei Seiten, und es ist schwer zu truggen. Keiner gesagt, wenn mir keiner von Hashem gut la, wo ich nicht mehr so. Ich kann es nicht truggen mehr. Ich kann nicht truggen, man geht. Und da habe ich gesagt, beirrt, it sounds like, if you read, it's the same Tniya, like we see, wenn mir Hashem la, schlag gehen wir bitte nach, wir haben so. Das heißt, was der Geib sagt, war kein, hallo, im Zeit, das heißt, Leute, la Pesach hat, so ich weiß, weil ich והלכת שיקוסה והלכת שיקוס ועטותם של בי. An andere Werte ja, so du, ja, Kevin, so du Eisov, and each idea, every point, every Chiddush, every child, literal child that you can have, could be he's going to grow up to be Hitler, could be he's going to grow up to be Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's just how it is. And Im Taitiv and V'rav Yavitzor, there is an option for everything to work out the way it's supposed to work out. There is an option for it not to. And there's no Vimli Mele, this, and that's all. And then they're second, they're born, they already start. Mit kamene patent, mit Yaakov, mit Isaac, mit den Zidadashem, mit the Yudah, Chezes Bakayv. There's so much symbolism and so much like going on, but all these things actually happen. And every time something new gets born, every time there's this cutoff where Ad Kan Ovis, mit Kan Vaylich Bunim. Every time there's going to be this kind of interaction. There's going to be this kind of something that, like the Yaakov, the thing that's in the end, the thing is somehow less important, somehow more important. He's smaller, but he's bigger, and all these studim, all these dramas, all these things, and you're never gonna know. Should I bless you? Jeder was macht eine Sache, weiß da nicht, und Yitzchak hat nicht gewusst, und ein bisschen sogar also Pirem de Kaz Medaf benchen Yaakov, also wie Ad Lo Yudah, but he really didn't know. He really didn't know if wenn ein Mensch hat Tittep, ist eine Sache, hat Kinder, weiß nicht, soll ich benchen, soll ich lieber der Eisov Part, soll ich lieber der Yaakov Part, was meint, und weiß nicht, the whole world we're really blind, and Yitzchak was blind. And the other Sache, I sagen, is we see also there's a interesting pusik. There's the story of Avimelech and Rivka, which is very similar to Avram and Surah and Avimelech and Pare. It's the third time it happened, the same thing, but basically the pusik had get this. He said, "Vayiro av buras milvad, ru avrish na shraib my Avram." So my vart is that it's very important for the pusik. It's very important for Pastor to say, "No, this is not the selbe." Sache schreiben mal Avram. In my relationship, Yitzchak's relationship with Rivka, Yitzchak's relationship with Avimelech, whatever politics was going on, it's not the same. So nicht Vayashev Shloim al Kisa Dovadoviv. Das war okay. Du is Milvader over it. And Avram Vini had his own Nisyonis and Vayirov and Mitzrayim and Paro and Kadis Yitzchak and kind of stuff. Jetzt is do a ganze neue Sache. It's like very similar because the Chazin. And he's doing the same thing, many of the same things. Vayachper Ba'ayres, when Asheloi, Vayikil Hem Shaimet, Kashaimet Hashkur Len Oviv. He has this idea of recreating his father's journey, of recreating his father's Ba'ayres, of having the wealth and the Oisher of his father. Oisher is Rishtayvis, Aishek, Sitner, Choyvis. Aber, es ist auch Rishtayvis Rujim. Aber es ist Melvader over it, this is another whole story, and this other whole story, it's conditioned on this cutoff, on this Vaisroitz, on this always, in order to have children, in order to be something real to be born, someone has to die. And Chazal sagen, eine Shekras Lael, that Shemitztanis, Chesel Mitztanis, and it becomes like Avunim, Ismael Avnoim. And Arizal said the whole Torah that's Naidim and that's Mitztan, and basically the parents must die in order for their children to live. Always like this. Then where it says we need to respect our parents, and this is going back to what I was talking about the Yidz and how do we relate to. We need to respect them for living and also for dying and for leaving us space, for making mistakes which leave us space to fix. And for living in this dialectic and this parents and children Und das ist die ganze Sache, was ich die ganze Masse, was ich habe zu sagen. Und ich denke, es ist eine gute Schabe, dass die Tat ist und die Kinder.